So as I mentioned, our special guest, and here he is, everybody. Please welcome in Mr. Richard Lee, Head of Music for Mastermix. Richard, welcome.
Hello, Paul. Hello, everybody. Great to be here.
It is indeed. And business-wise, what a fantastic year it's been for Mastermix 2024. Quick rewind on that, just general vibes.
I mean, I've been at Mastermix now 20 years plus and counting, and 2024 has been, without a shadow of a doubt, the most exciting year. You know, and not just financially, but from a support, worldwide support, the products that we're releasing, the exciting producers we're bringing on board, the general energy around Mastermix and the whole platform, and more importantly, the community. It's just off the scale, man.
A couple of tracks that we played before were from part of the DJ Regrids collection, especially specifically Volume 5. DJ Regrids have really captured the imagination of DJs in their ability to play the old tunes, quantized beat grids, so they can mix the old stuff. It's been an absolute game changer, a true game changer for DJs.
Without a shadow of a doubt. You know, Mastermix has been going nearly 30 years. You have to evolve, you have to change, things have to move on. DJs are getting better and better. Technology is getting better and better. So you can't just release the same old, same old. So when Regrids was developed by your good self with your wonderful team, it was a game changer. It pushed Mastermix into new production areas. It gave DJs the tools to use to play the same music, the same tracks. You've got the 7-inch of a certain song, you got a 12-inch, you got the DJ beats, the DJ edits. What else can you do with it? Or a remix? Now you've got DJ Regrids, full control, studio production. And I know technology, software can do this, that, and the other. But let's be honest, there is no substitute for studio quality production, of which Regrids is giving us.
Indeed, as you mentioned as well, you brushed across, they're all remastered as well as quantized locked, but also in this day and age of DJs being able to live stem separate. What a great thing to get those old 60s, 70s and 80s tunes, flip out the a cappella, knowing full well that the beats are synchronized. That's great, isn't it?
Oh, I absolutely love it. You know, when I was DJing, back in the day when I was a full-time DJ, I would love the extended 12-inch record and the version where the a cappella would drop, the music would drop out a little bit and the vocal would kick through. And I found that to be a very powerful thing as a DJ. I thought the audience would react more, to that kind of song. So then to have a regrid where you have the autonomy, you have full control to do it, incredibly powerful. And as you mentioned, with songs from the 60s and 70s, you're rejuvenating those tunes. You are bringing those songs to new audiences, as well as being respectful for people who were there and remember those tracks in their original format.
Right, so that was just one track from a fantastic selection from 70s Soul Reimagined. Now, Mr. Lee,
Mr. Dakeyne.
When that actually partnered 70s Soul and 70s Soul Reimagined, you paired them together for a February release. What's your philosophy behind that? And what do you want to bring to the DJ world, this sort of raison d'etre for those to exist?
You have to remember, as head of music, it's my job to cater the audio output for Mastermix for DJs of all kinds. So we have anybody from bedroom to radio, mobile, mainstream wedding, nightclub, remix, and beyond, everybody in between. And initially Mastermix was, I guess, a mobile DJ service, and that's how it's set out to be. And it's evolved, and we're bringing in remixers, and we're bringing in, creative external producers, global producers, remixers, DJ beats, regrids. But you have to remember that there's a lot of DJs who just want the classic tracks in their original format. So with the license that we hold, we can create essential hits, collections of music, unmixed, that are, just huge collections of a specific genre or theme. So, for example, 70s Soul and that you mentioned, that's the original radio edits, which works well for mainstream DJs who have audiences who are kind of, and a lot of DJs will appreciate this, it's kind of 3 minutes and it's, okay, let's get on to the next song. 2 minutes, let's get on to the next song. Well, that's okay with 70s Soul because most of the original tracks were 2, 3, no longer than 4 minutes. Certainly many of them wouldn't have got there. So the Essential Soul gives you those radio edits. But as I was collating and researching in the studio, you come across these great remixes. The original remixes, the Tom Moulton remixes, which are to die for. Then, of course, you get the Dimitri remixes and, Eric Kupper remixes, and you go, do you know what? I've got to share these. Yeah. Mastermix has to share these. Now what you're giving DJs are tools to use. If you want to play the original of Harold Melvin, Mastermix have catered for you.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for that beautiful orchestration, instrumentation, something a little bit more elongated with drops and loops and beats, you've got the Reimagine. And that's the mantra behind it.
And what you're doing there as well, Rich, is you're doing the research and the crate digging for the DJs. So it's a voyage of discovery as well, isn't it? Sorry.
I am learning all the time. It sounds like a cliche. Honestly...
I get these crates and I'm thinking, where did this come
from?
But
this is the difference with the service. We don't just sit in the studio and go, okay, let's pick 50 soul tracks and release it. There are hours, days and weeks, and not forgetting, and there's many of them here on the live stream, we have an incredible amount of influencers, ambassadors, Mastermix creatives, and those people, they'll be going, hey, remember the B-side, remember the album version, remember the Tom Moulton remix, and you collate, you research, you evolve, and you learn.
So the 60s 100 collection. So tell us how does the 100 collection, apart from being obviously there's 100 tracks, how does the 100 collection musically differ to, say, a crate or an essential hits or whatever?
I've not told many people this story, but this is a true story. The 100 collection came about, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek if I'm honest, and an in-joke on my behalf for all the wonderful DJs who... When I would go around talking to DJs at events or talking to them online or seminars, they would go, oh, Rich, I've got 500,000 songs on my hard drive. I've got 1 million songs on my hard drive. Whoever had 20,000, the next DJ had 25,000.
Mine's bigger than yours.
Mine's bigger than yours. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I said, do you know what? How many songs do you actually play in an evening? And it's about 100. Maybe not even that. And I thought, you know what, that's a good name for a title, the 100 Collection. So a crate is 20 tracks. Back in the day, it was classic cuts, which was, 15, 20 tracks. Unlike now where it's digital, we can put as many on as we wish. Back in the day, a CD would be defined by 79 minutes. Yeah. So 20 tracks, classic cuts. Classic cuts becomes crates, 20 tracks. Then we do the essential hits, 50 tracks, and then we do a 100 collection, which is a definitive collection, collated slightly differently because you have warm-up tracks, suggested only. Yeah. We're not saying you have to play them, but they're kind of song like Hang On Sloopy would be a good warm-up song rather than a mainstream floor filler.
Yeah.
But for another DJ, they may differ. That's the beauty of music. So the idea is we give you 100 tracks, a load of mainstream party floor fillers, some end-of-nighters, some warm-up tracks, and it's price sensitive. So if you've only got £10 to spend, go and buy a crate. If you've got £20 to spend, you buy essential hits. If you've got £30 to spend, you buy a 100 collection, and it depends on your DJ needs. If you want to bolster your collection, you buy a 100 collection.
So let's just chat a bit about the Mastermix toolkits, because later on in the year you did the Mastermix toolkit for the proms, and this one we're looking at is the Mastermix toolkit for... sorry, I beg your pardon, this is the proms one, but you did one later for Pride. It seems, looking at the playlist and the track inclusion, that we've got stabs, hits, instrumentals. So can you tell us a bit more about the toolkits philosophy?
Yeah, we created the toolkits initially to have stabs of popular tracks that DJs could use either at awards ceremonies for, when it's, and the winner is Paul Dakeyne, and if you're at table 3, you go, all right, it's going to take 20 seconds to get up, so you load a 20-second stab. If it's Richard Lee who wins, which is very unlikely, sure, I probably would be at the back of the room in the cheap seats, so you need a minute bed because it's going to take an old man like me longer to get up. So we created these beds, loops, stabs for volumes 1 and 2, and the toolkits just evolved. DJs like them, and the ethos behind the proms is basically that the proms, a lot of DJs are doing proms are very on trend in the UK. It's a very American thing up until a few years ago, and now DJs are doing them all over the place. But as we mentioned earlier in the show, the attention span for a lot of the audience is, okay, I've heard the first chorus, let's get on with the next track. And remember, this is the TikTok generation. This is the Instagram, the social media generation. They're listening to 20 seconds of a certain song, 30 seconds. So what we're doing is emulating that in a studio environment. So it's topped and tailed. And then the DJ, he's playing his set, and then he can just bang in LMFAO, Sexy and I Know It, or he can bang in an instrumental bed of Sophie Ellis-Bextor, or another on-trend track, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then move on.
Yeah, and of course they're all targeted to the demographic for the event, like Pride or the Proms.
So when you have a collection like Toolkit Proms, what it also does is inspires you to go, okay, well, if these tracks have been collated by DJs for DJs, it means that these songs are popular with the Proms. So if a DJ is performing at a Proms party, but maybe isn't as au fait on what music to play, it's a great... It's like an accessory.
It's
an accessory. It gives you a playlist. It gives you inspiration. So as well as playing them, you might go, gosh, I'd forgotten about that track. I'll play the full version of it because it's obviously a current Proms classic, and that's what the toolkits do.
It's an audio toolkit. It's like getting a spanner, screwdriver, drill, except it's audio. It's tools to help you smoothly run the event.
Correct, and it's a reference point. And I think anything, if you can gain inspiration from a product, you might find a track and a stab on there, or a beat or a loop, and you go, goodness me, I'd forgotten about that track. Well, if you've forgotten about it, the audience may not have forgotten about it, so why not tempt them with a 30-second stab? If it works, play the original track in full, or maybe an edit of it. If it doesn't work, it's 30 seconds, you move on. And they're good fun as well. Yeah. The toolkits are great fun. You can...
Looking at the playlist, I can see that.
Yeah, and imagine the audience. They're having a great time, they're partying to a big tune, and then you go, hey, audience, can you remember this? Bang. Yeah. Wow, chorus, verse, chorus. And these tracks are on trend for a period of time. And next year for Proms, those tracks... It'll be a new selection.
Yeah, got it. Excellent. Rich, thanks a lot, man. So, Rich, the Grandmaster series from Mastermix. Each month when you do a Grandmaster, it's probably the most gargantuan task to fill that album with... first of all, you need a theme. You need to identify a reason for it to exist. Then you've got to research the tracks, pass it on to the production team. So the process from start to finish, right through... And let's talk about some of the, the backroom boys, the producers who are essential to Mastermix.
Yeah, a bit of background on Grandmasters. When we first started the Mastermix service, the Grandmasters were part of the range, and we were releasing these... once a month. There were like over 100 in the range, maybe nearly 200 mixes. And that's because, DJs would use these from start to finish. And that was great, whether it was part of a main set and then, or just dipping in and out of it. And then, of course, as technology developed and DJ skills developed and DJ trends changed, we backed off the Grandmasters and brought in different products and thought, okay, maybe the time is right to never do a Grandmaster again. And we had so many people asking for them, so many people requesting. So we got people like, we got Andy Pickles, who was one of the original Master Mixers, went on to do Tidy Tracks, Jive Bunny, of course. And Andy went back into the studio with one of the engineers. And the formula, and it's a formula that Andy works with, and I've adapted, is I've sat in the back of the studio and produced hundreds of thousands of mixers and content and never touched a button. Because my skill set is what's up here. I visualize how those tracks are going to work, both for the DJ and more importantly for the audience. So the way the process works is, for example, with the summer jams, is what is the vibe you're trying to attain? What is the end result? And the result you're looking for is great start track, great end track, great middle track, and everything else enhances and builds. And the skill is to create something that can't be emulated live, but has a live feel.
Yeah, and I think the other thing as well, its usefulness is either for a DJ to play as kind of early evening background or for a function room, but as it increases in energy, it becomes an essential dance floor thing. And also, it inspires DJs to do those mixes themselves and think, well, that goes with that really well. So it's inspirational again, as well as multifunctional.
Correct, and which is why we created the Grandmaster warm-up range. So if you want a mix that you can play that doesn't contain those mainstream tracks that you may play in your main set, then you play a Grandmaster. And the Grandmaster builds from 100 BPM to 115, 120, and then at 120 BPM you can feel people sort of tap in, getting into the vibe, and then away you go. So the Grandmaster warm-ups are very popular. The Grandmaster Summer, the Jams range, they are the biggest selling Grandmasters that I've ever had the pleasure of being involved with as a producer. The reason for that is, and DJs do this, we all do this, the first thing you do is buy with your eye. You look at the track listing and go, I love the track listing.
Yeah, sure.
But once you hear the mix, you're absolutely right. You can play it from start to finish. You can cut in. You can use it as inspiration, as backup. People stick it in the van when they're driving to the gig just to get them motivated. I love that. However you use a Grandmaster is up to you.
Indeed. And also, if you look at the issue as well, which again is another massive selling product, very popular, that's almost like little bite-sized chunks. Again, themes. So the issue and the Grandmaster kind of go hand in hand, don't they?
And it's the creativity of them. We shouldn't sell as many mixes as we do because of the way that modern technology and modern DJing trends are. But we do sell a lot of mixes, and there's a reason for that. And there's a few reasons, mainly because they're really good and DJs can use them in their sets. Yeah. There's the creative sort of... what have they done with those tracks? You played a sort of Jive Bunny-esque party mix earlier. It's the creativity. But also, the wedding DJs are using them as a sort of 10-minute mix when they go and set up cake cutting or photography for the bride and the groom. And they're just great scene setters. And you know what? We all have to go take the call of nature at some point. They're just great utilities, but we put as much effort, in fact we put more production time now into mixers than we ever did, because we have to. Back in 1986, 1989, 1990, through the 2000s, it was kind of a bit easy really, because there wasn't anything like that. Now everybody can do it, but they can't do it as good. And that's not a pretentious comment, that's a reality. Is there are some great mixers out there, but when you take a Grandmaster, it is mastered, it is polished, there is over 5 days production.
Expletive free.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a
lot
of research.
It's the ideas, it's the creative energy behind it. It's like not everybody can do that. So that's the gift to the DJs for it.
And it's the vibe, isn't it? The summer jams you played there, Cake by the Ocean into Gregory Porter, that was created when I was lucky enough to be living and working in France, because that vibe was very, a Côte d'Azur vibe. But I can't produce a mix that is right for the Côte d'Azur because the person buying it might be anywhere else in the world. So what you're doing is giving them a taste of sunshine. As soon as you hear those songs, it's kind of warm, isn't it? And if you heard a song that had some chimes in there, it's kind of, it's a bit Christmassy. But music has a wonderful way of doing that. And that Gregory Porter track is not a summer tune, but it makes you feel like it's summer. I love that, and that's the creativity. There's a lot of hours go into track listing before we even touch a button and start producing. A lot of time.
Rich, thanks, man.
Oh,
cheers.
Pleasure, man.
We had volumes 2 to volume 6 of some rock pressure. Rich, explain yourself. How did that happen?
Well, who doesn't love a great rock track? And that's a great rock track. Goodness me. I forgot how good that track is. What a voice. When Mastermix started the service, the license that we were given was a very exclusive license, and year on year on year, decade on decade, we keep tweaking that license, and eventually we were given permission to create the USB collections, which some of the DJs who are watching the stream will go, oh my goodness me, the USB collections. So basically we were given permission to create a collection of music, an agreed number, onto a USB. The agreed number was 400 tracks on a beautiful USB in a collection tin, limited edition, and we could offer those at a pre-sale price of £99. So that was a great price.
Right.
400 tracks. Then the pre-release price changed and went to 125 quid if you were lucky, and then the product went. And a lot of DJs were going, well, that's okay, and I get it, but it's a bit unfair because we're going to miss out on that because maybe I was away or I can't afford to buy that at that moment. And we understand. We understand. So we created the essential hits from the USB and took 300 of the best tracks and collated them into bite-sized products. So 50-track Essential Collection 1 was already out, so therefore 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 followed. Now, the reason we only do 300 tracks, because if my maths are correct, 6 products with 50 tracks on is 300 tracks. is to make it fair to the people who've bought the 400 track collection. So there is 100 that you're missing out on, but you're still getting the 300 over 6 albums. I think I've made sense.
Young man, you have explained yourself correctly.
Somewhere along the line. It's been a long day, Paul.
No more need to sit on the naughty step. Let's just jump straight into another fantastic release in that month, Country Pop. Let's move on to that very quickly.
Yeah, great.
Is this an on-trend response?
Absolutely. A few DJs, when I mention this artist and this track, will be sort of shaking their head. But Beyonce comes along with Texas Hold'em. It's number one everywhere. It's a huge track. Instagram goes crazy. TikTok goes crazy. Everybody wants country music again, thanks to that Beyonce song. And there was a release, you got loads of tunes then that were all Dasher released as a song. You got the Tipsy track. Everybody's releasing a country vibe. Dua Lipa jumps on the back of it, etc., etc. So Mastermix have to be reactive to that, and as a DJ service, we collate a crate of individual tracks featuring said Beyonce, plus additional other songs that because DJs come to me and go, "Oh, Rich, I know Beyonce's number one, but what else do I play with it?" Ba-bam! There's a crate. Got you. Dip your bread.
Absolutely. Of course, we had a bunch of product that was related to Christmas parties and the forthcoming festivities for December, Rich. But one particular trifecta of product really caught my attention in the crates range, and you themed 3 crates around winter chill, winter beats, and winter warmers. Can you give us a bit of background on those?
Yeah, they were great albums to research and collate, and the reason for doing them was we're always expected to release Christmas product, but you can only release what's available, and there hasn't been a great deal of traditional Christmas tunes for a long time. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the top 40, for example, now it's Mariah, it's Wham at number 1, it's Shaky, it's the Pogues, and it should be like that, Wizard and Slade et al. So I wanted to create 3 albums that were in varied BPM mode, that DJs could use either as warm-up, background, scene setting. It's a Christmas party. Guests are arriving. It's an ambient, it's not boring, but it's ambient. It's toe tapping. Then you can pick the tempo a little bit. They're not Christmas songs, but they feel wintry. They feel warm. And that's the key with the crate. It feels conceptual. And then you've also got, the ultimate fireside tunes, which is those songs associated with the John Lewis adverts. And I'm allowed to mention that, but other stores are available. Of course. But those songs that were cover versions of classic tunes. So you put those on an album, and what that allows a DJ to do is mix and match and not just play, the same old. And I think it's important that DJs understand, and many do now, the importance of the early set. The importance of the background music,
for sure.
The importance of the scene setting. For the latter part, I don't DJ as much as I used to, but for the latter part of my career, I was fortunate enough to be employed just to play the scene setting music, because people were like, Rich knows what he's talking about when it comes to... I really researched it, heavily. So to pass that information on and that knowledge on, and it's not just me, remember, this is people from all around the world. We have creative consultants and inputters from all around the world who are giving me track ideas for winter beats, winter chill. And I think they're just nice to have in the armory, aren't they? Whether it's a spring vibe, an autumn vibe, summer vibe, and in this particular case, a winter vibe. It's strong.
100%. I did a private party at the top of a hotel from 9 till about 11. It was guests coming in. Yeah. So we had winter warmers on, chilled warm-up mixes, all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, it's essential stuff. So,
and your guests will appreciate that.
Yeah, they don't want to walk into the Pogues while they're, waiting for the buffet and at the bar ordering the drinks.
Correct.
Exactly.
There you go.
So winter warmers, winter beats, and winter chill.
Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah. Get them for next year. In fact, get them, period. They're useful all the time. Your message, your shout out to everybody and everything.
Thanks for all your support. I know this is going to sound a little twee, but we can't do it without you. It's as simple as that. The beauty of Mastermix is it is a community of DJs. It is a service, a legal music service provided by DJs for DJs. And, we know music's so accessible. We know music's on other platforms, whether it's illegal, legal, whatever. But the Mastermix audience, it's like unlike anything. It's such a pleasure and a privilege to be head of music for Mastermix. So the message is, thank you very much indeed for all your support in 24, all your support throughout the years. If you're new to Mastermix, stick with us. It is going to be an awesome ride, honestly, in 25. Cannot wait. Thank you.
Rich, thanks very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for driving over to see us today. It's been great to have you in the studio, and lots of great vibes to look forward to for 2025. I'm going to play the 369 track now, so you can go and dance your bits off over there. Richard Lee, head of music for Mastermix, thank you. Nice one.
My pleasure.